Well, y'all, this is it. The final episode of this relationship series. You're gonna get a hodgepodge of randomness, including bloopers, some wisdom, and yes, even this one makes an appearance. This is the final episode of the relationship series on What If We Were Real? Cue the na-na-na-nas. My girl was good for most of the day, but there were a couple of moments where she was like, look, I need somebody to pay me some attention.
I love how she just felt like she just wanted to switch positions.
We're gonna pause now for y'all to come and get this dog. Cause she tripping.
But see me, I'm gonna get a German Shepherd and I'm gonna train my German Shepherd how to protect, provide, and still be loving and kind.
Oh my gosh.
You see what I'm saying?
And a few weeks later, Anthony did get his German Shepherd. Meet Daisy.
Up, over there, girl. Over there, there you go. Come. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. That's what I'm talking about. Yep.
Anthony and I are going to get Kaya and Daisy together for a play date really soon. And let me make this clear. That is the only kind of dating that is happening between the two of us. Yes, I've been looking at you in the comment section. And so let me go ahead and address some of what you all are saying. I don't think that Anthony and I are a match, but some of y'all have been shooting your shot for some of my other friends that are in this singles panel. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this next portion is just for you.
Okay, actually, let me ask you two this. How do you feel about, like, if we get people saying, can I meet these people? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, how you feel about that, bro?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, really?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the
Ring a
season
ding.
I'm not in the season of wanting to date right
Okay.
now.
There we go.
But 2 years down the road, yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
And Anthony? I know I'm going to get people on social media and in the comment section here on YouTube saying, can I meet that brother?
Yeah.
With your guns all out.
That brother right there, right?
Really?
I'm open to whatever the Lord has.
Okay. That's such a good, deep answer. Okay.
Straight out of you.
Right.
So the theme is what if we were real? And I wanted everybody to be comfortable so that they would be more real. So I asked all of my guests to wear pajamas. Here's how that went.
Well, my name is Nicole Staples. This is what I would wear to bed. If it's 60 or below, 50 or below. A onesie is my go-to.
Yeah.
My name is John Reddick, and I forgot, what's the second question?
Pajamas.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I forgot, because I never I literally got this on the way here.
Oh my God.
Let's go. And I showed up in jeans.
Yes, you did. And I was like, you better turn around and do something else. That ain't gonna happen.
I was just in case. I was like, I kept my receipt just in case I could get away with the jeans. No, so I'm single, and I think the best word to talk about that or describe that is freedom. Just not like free from other people, just free to know who I am, free to understand exactly what God is leading me to. And so that's freedom.
That's true, man.
But also free from other people, though. Let's be real.
Oh my gosh. And all the people who are going to reach out about him are like, nah, never mind.
Yeah. What did the other brother say?
Last but not least.
I am Austin Amore.
Y'all, his last name means love. Come on.
Oh, what the heck?
Yo, get him in the DM.
Yeah.
No, because your relationship status
Actually, my
is...
relationship status, I am happily in a relationship. Have been for 7 months. 2 days ago.
Okay.
Shout out.
All right,
Remember that? You see
yeah.
that? It took me a while to remember that.
Yeah. That's all right.
That's good.
You keep it up with months still, though. That's sweet. That's cute.
You know,
That's adorable.
It's, baby steps. You know? These are definitely not my pajamas. I'm a boxers guy. That's it.
Yep.
No socks, no shirt.
You got to be free.
Gotta be free.
Yeah.
Gotta be free, but nah, this is just casual.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
I wear on a
Why
regular.
spend all that money on that thread count if you just
Oh
wear
my
clothes?
goodness. I'm so sedity.
And for you fellas that are eyeing some of my girls, the only thing that you may have to compete with is work.
So then the other problem that I have had is that I would throw myself into work. Like when I had issues that happened or whatever, I just work more. To the extent that I had some guys that finally called me out on the fact that they're like, if you're married to your work, how can you be married to a man?
And it's interesting because you and I had an interaction recently. Kristen does web stuff for me. She's my web girl, but she does a lot. Like she's just gifted in every area that you can imagine. And so we had an interaction because this is a new relationship that we have. And I would find myself emailing you and texting you at midnight saying, hey, can you send this email out? And finally you had to say, hey, I try to keep my business hours between 9 to 5. And you said to me that it had something to do with what you were being prepared for. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I really felt like God started putting on my heart, like, it's time to change habits. And I have had just a lot of bad habits that I didn't even realize were bad habits. Because for me, I'm like, no, I'm pursuing my dream. I'm going after these goals. And that's when he just started putting on my heart, like, but I have different dreams for you. And unless you're willing to submit to me and change these habits, I can't take you into these new places. And so work specifically has been a big one.
Because you would just be working nonstop.
Oh, I would work all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, I've always worked nonstop. And I love it. That's why tour life has been great and all the different things, because like you're just going and you're just doing. And it's like, oh yeah, but I didn't realize how much that it was affecting even just my friendships of people just not feeling like I was ever available for them, people not calling on me when they did need. And I was like, I didn't realize how unavailable I made myself until God really started dealing with my heart of like, you have to create these space. And the thing with creating that space is all of a sudden I've had time and space to like look in the mirror.
So good.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm really controlling and selfish.
Well, I want you to know this. I actually learned a lot from you in that situation because I work. Like I have to. I'm doing this thing by myself, and I have thankfully an amazing team of people that I work with. But basically the buck stops with me. And so I actually have to. But hearing that, I felt a little tap, tap, tap of the Holy Spirit saying, yeah, I kind of need you to actually put some balance in your life with that as well. And I wonder about you two, because you also, you make stuff happen. You are bosses. Like you are working to make yourself who you are, and you are queens. And so do you find that you have to have some work-life balance?
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I love the question you just asked. I think there's times and seasons for everything in God. And when you know your worth, just exactly what you're saying, there's a settling that comes with that. So in my 20s and my 30s, I knew God had called me to a lot of career ministry things. And a lot like you, I was gone all the time. Now my makeup, Mandisa, I would not have wanted to be traveling with a husband home, a family home. That's just not the way I'm wired. So I actually see it as a blessing that my single life has lasted longer than maybe a lot of the norm. And I actually think it's a weird Christian thing. I got saved later in life, in my 20s. I think it's a different thing that people think you have to be married so young. I think you can have a very successful 20s, 30s, thriving in friendship, thriving in relationships, thriving in your career, ministry, whatever you're called to. And when the time is right, when it's your right season, it's going to happen. So for me, this question you're asking, I've thrown myself into the things I love, which is creating and ministering to people, whatever that looks like, whether that's working at a church or being on the road or women's events. And then other things, my oil, I love oils and I do that as a business.
Essential oils,
essential
y'all.
oils.
Just oils, like not oily skin.
But finding the things that you love, pouring into women in small groups. And it's, you just go with what you know. But let me tell you, when that right man comes along, I feel now that I'm in a space where I would be able to lay some things down that maybe I wouldn't have been able to in other seasons, but freely be like, okay, it's time for this now. That's
good. Jenna, have you felt that you've had to change some things since you and Brent got involved?
I feel like for me, I love the time and seasons because I am so grateful I mean, I was kicking and screaming all my singleness because I was single pretty much all of my 20s. I just turned 30 this past year, and him and I just met in the last year. All of my 20s, I was single. I barely dated. Like, boys were not interested in me. There was like, got the intimidating thing all the time. But I look back on that, and I was able to start a business at 25, so that now at 30, when we're talking about future family, I can figure out ways to start making it possible that I could still be technically working and bringing in income, So I think for me, though, the biggest challenge has been getting rid of those bad habits. Like you were talking about, I am the queen of working till all hours of the night because I love it. And so I have really had to, the Lord is still teaching me on how to balance that well and still go after goals, but also have goals that are outside of my professional life. I think as a single person, single woman, because my personal life wasn't bumping, I felt like it was my responsibility to prove to everyone that I was making something of myself, And, that's silly to try and prove yourself for what, and that's constantly something I'm unearthing. But yeah, I definitely feel like for me, I'm having to constantly check in. And I feel like in this quarantine time, I think the Lord's really been like, hello, this is still here. You can't take this with you into marriage. This cannot come.
And if you're eyeing me, I may or may not be looking into online dating.
I could name a dozen couples that I know who have been married through online dating. So there used to be a terrible thing about it. And now I'm just like, hey guys, use the tools. Get out there. Nothing wrong with that at all.
That's so good. I love that. I'm actually about to get on Match.com, y'all.
Come on.
Don't be announcing that.
Oh, dang. Okay, we'll edit that out. I was going to look out for you like that. I appreciate it, Katie. Natalie Grant dropped some wisdom, some truth bombs during these panels. And the music that her and her husband Bernie makes is unreal. Have you heard her song, My Weapon?
Everything you need is actually found in that, whether it's on your phone or whether you're holding it. But it is the point that it needs to be seeping into your every pore.
And you said your word is your weapon, and I want you to know that is straight from Scripture, y'all. Ephesians 6, the armor of God. The only offensive weapon listed there is the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. And when Jesus was in the desert being tempted, the only thing he said to Satan was, "It is written," and he quoted the word. So that is Bible, that is fact, and his presence is our weapon. You should hear a song that says it's in the theme.
Check out the link in the description box to hear it. It's incredible. And speaking of music, have you heard John Reddick and I sing "You Keep Hope Alive"?
Like there's hope. I see him.
Sorry.
Nice.
Shameless. You keep hope alive.
That's so good.
You Keep Hope Alive is available wherever you listen to music. John is an incredible songwriter. His mind honestly fascinates me and sometimes cracks me up.
Pause the film right here because I really forgot what I was about to say. You gotta leave that. If you know John Reddick, you gotta leave it.
Y'all, we're gonna have to have a blooper reel. All right, y'all. Something happened during this panel that I will never forgive my friend Shayna for. I had a piece of cilantro smack dab in the middle of my teeth. I am going to let you see a little bit behind the scenes of what happened with all of that drama. And Shayna, you're fired. Looked at my phone after doing a taping for 2 hours, and I had a text from Shayna telling me what?
You had something in your teeth, but I wasn't supposed to say it right in front of everyone, so I texted you.
So instead, I did an entire 2 hours with spinach in my teeth.
You can't see it while you're talking. You can't see it while you're talking. Like, don't sleep.
So if y'all see this episode and you see something green in my teeth, it's her fault.
Where are all of the good single men? And so when I used to think, maybe I missed him, maybe I was in the airport. There are young girls watching this right now who desire to be married and who want some advice from some people of a certain age who are walking through this life as single, godly women, what advice would you give to them?
I felt like I was going to cry when you started talking. I think for me, because it took us such a long time to meet Brent, I wish that my younger self knew that like this ring doesn't make me more valuable. Like it doesn't make me more valuable. I'm still coming in with junk. Like we're not perfect. And my life isn't complete because I met Brent. My life is more fun. Like he comes alongside me and like we get to do that life together. So I wish that my younger self like really relished in my single life. Because there's some things that I'm mourning, leaving single life to go into marriage, truly.
Like what?
My time. The workaholic in me. My time. Decisions are being made together now. And I'm like, well, I've been making decisions by myself for a long time. And now we have to do two people. So I think that I wish I would have told younger Jenna, like, when the Lord has it for you, it will come and it will make sense. And that ring doesn't prove that I love you more. That's the thing that I think I believed in my single years, very single years, that God didn't love me enough because he wouldn't give me somebody to love. And so I wish my younger self, so whoever is listening to that, like, that's what I wish I knew. So good. Yeah.
So good.
Figure out who Jesus is, who you are in him. Do fun things, go after the gifts and the callings that he's placed in your life. Love people well. Don't think that your life is going to start when you're in a marriage, You know, it starts now. You know, don't keep waiting, but, you know, you can worship in the waiting. You can live life fully. And I don't know, I just think the abundant life never says anything in scripture that your abundant life is when you are married or have a spouse. Your abundant life is in Jesus. And so let him be the thing. It sounds tacky, but let him be the thing that really completes you. And I feel like that's how I've thrived in this long season, 20 plus years of singleness.
Let me ask you this, Jaime. When you worship in the waiting, what's your go-to song that you sing to the Lord in the waiting?
I go to the oldies, Mandisa. I don't know why. I think they just bring me back to when I first met Jesus. I don't know about you girls, but that ooey gooey honeymoon season with Jesus where he was in everything, every prayer you prayed, you just saw him. So be like, I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice. Those songs draw me close to you.
For us.
To worship you, oh my soul. Rejoice, take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear.
Beautiful. I can't think of a better way to end this series on love than by singing a love song to the love of my life. You know, God, I'm certain, has slipped a scripture in my Bible recently because I have never seen it before, and I hope that you're going to love it as much as I do. It's Isaiah chapter 54, verse 5. It says this, "For your maker is your husband. The Lord Almighty is his name. The Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer." You know, if the Lord Almighty is my husband, you know what you need to start calling me? Mrs. Lord Almighty. And so I want to say this to all of my fellow single ladies out there. You are Mrs. Lord Almighty. He loves you with all of his heart. He loves to spend time with you. He pursues you. You can never talk too much for him. He loves to listen to you. And he also loves it when you listen to him. He wrote a love letter for you, and he loves it when you spend time reading it and meditating on it and spending time in his word. He has a great plan and a purpose for your life. And as you fall more deeply in love with him, any man who wants to find you will have to go through him to get to you. God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And if you are like me and sometimes you struggle in this area of singleness, anytime that you do, I want you to think of your heavenly husband who says, "Oh, honey, I love you just the way that you are." So let me pray for you. Heavenly Father,
Lord Almighty, you love us just the way that we are. I thank you that you have wrapped us in the cords of your love. I thank you that nothing catches you off guard. I thank you for my fellow single sisters out there and my single brothers who have spent this time learning a little bit more about relationships, but Lord, learning more about you and your deep love for us. I pray that you would use these words. I pray that you would use these conversations. I pray, God, that you would use this time that we have spent with you and with one another to fall more in love with you. We pray for our future husbands and our future wives. We ask, God, that you would protect them, that you would guard them. Lord, we also ask that you would help us to fall more in love with you every single day. You are good. Your plans are good. You are not caught off guard, and you love us so deeply. And Heavenly Father, Lord Almighty, our Maker, our husband, we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank y'all so much for joining me on this journey, this relationship series. I will be back really soon with new episodes, but in the meantime, share this with your friends. If you have some other single people in your life that you think would be encouraged by this, I would love for you to share it with them. Give me a little thumbs up, and so that you know when we're coming back, be sure that you subscribe and hit that little notification bell so that you do not miss one episode. I'll see you again.